All right, so now it's talking about how to communicate in a way that it inspires. We've already discussed the three barriers that affect people's behaviors and opinions and attitudes. We've discussed toxic language. We know what that is and we know what now to avoid. Let's talk about things that we can actually do, and this is very simple to actually implement. We can do this immediately. So, as we talked about, toxic communication involves shame, judgment, things that don't make sense. It's usually very selfish. It does not lead to people feeling acknowledged, understood, and validated. It does not break through all the barriers so we can build that connection and trust. But look on the left side of the screen. You see the word charismatic communication. And usually at this point, when we talk about charismatic communication, this is where people are like, what charismatic? I am not charismatic at all. Let's discuss what this actually means. And I bet you, if you just listen a little bit, I bet we can find your charisma that actually works. Charismatic communication, and this is something I stole from a very great author. She's written a couple of books. Her name is Vanessa Van Edwards. And then her most recent book at the time of this recording is a book called Cues. And in that book, she defines the best definition I have ever heard of charisma. And charisma is demonstrating both warmth and competence in communication. This makes people feel acknowledged, understood, and validated. And I am willing to bet that you know what it feels like to empathize with other people. Like you can feel other people's feelings. You can put yourself in somebody else's position and imagine the feelings that they're going through. And I imagine you're very smart. And this is the reason why virtually anybody can display charisma, because virtually anybody, including you, have the ability to understand people's feelings, and you're smart. You can put this on display on command whenever you want. And if you still think you might struggle with that, hang tight because in just a moment, I'm going to give you the three timeless principles that make it easy for you to display this warmth and competence. This charismatic communication will allow you to break through the barriers and get straight through to the connection and trust. And here's the reason why. Ultimately, you want people to feel seen and heard. That is the number one goal, is to make people feel seen and heard. They're acknowledged, they feel understood, and you validated their opinions, their goals, their insecurities. That's something Omar never did, by the way, from the last module. He never validated Jen's feelings and concerns or her situation at the time. When we do that, we then create that trust, connection, and influence, which leads to inspiring somebody to achieve a goal as opposed to just being motivated. When this happens, you become more influential, more likable. You become more trusted and respected. In other words, your status increases. Your status increases with your audience. And when your status increases with your audience, because you use this balance of warmth and competence, it is so much easier to then affect their behavior, their attitudes, their opinions. It's a lot easier to then make the sale because they trust you and they like you. It's a lot easier to ask your employees to do something that maybe isn't pleasant because they trust you and they like you and they don't want to let you down. It's a lot easier to motivate those that you are speaking to if you're a public speaker. It's a lot easier for people in a friend group or at your work group to like you more, which may lead to that promotion, which may lead to that date on a personal level. Just because you know how to talk with people with warmth and competence, making people feel seen and heard. This is something that most people don't do, but you will, and you will stand out because of it. Only good things happen as a result. So here's the question. If you're still on the fence, like, I don't know if I can display this charisma, how do you do it? Well, I'll show you. How can you display and elevate the charisma that you already have? Here are the three timeless principles: curiosity, which you can see to the left, clarity, and tact. If you apply these three principles in how you interact with people, the warmth and competence mix will naturally flow out of you. And because it's natural, it won't feel like you're applying a bunch of effort. And this is what I love about this particular part of the convey and effect method, is because when you go and talk to other people about how do you sell, how do you connect with people, how do you create trust and influence, there's usually there's no shortage, let me put it this way. There's no shortage of tactical information, of the magic phrases to use, or the magic questions to say, or the magic response to whatever situation. There's a plethora, there's too many to remember. But I promise you that virtually any of, matter of fact, I invite the challenge of any of those tactics and methods that you find out there, if they don't somehow connect to the three principles that never change, the principles of curiosity, clarity, and tact. And the reasons why this works and the reason why this is timeless is because if you lead with curiosity, people are going to naturally open their mind to whatever it is that you might have to say. This is what allows them to express their opinions, their beliefs, and that allows us to have the opportunity to make them feel seen and heard. And it's not hard to do. When we are clear in what we're hearing from them and we express that clarity back to them, this is the process of helping the other person feel seen and heard. Through clarity and leading with curiosity, through clarity, we show that we've acknowledged the person, that we understand where they're coming from, and we validate where they're coming from, even if we don't necessarily agree with it. But we make them feel that we understand them. Tact is essential to not screw it all up. This is where people usually go wrong. This is when people like, well, I'm just like to tell it like it is, and then wonder why they lose that trust and connection. By applying tact, it makes everything else, the influence that we've had with our words, really stick. The following courses in this Convey and Effect course is going to go into more detail about curiosity, clarity, and tact, and exactly how to apply that. And I invite you to actually check out those courses as they develop, see how they apply in your life, and then in the group chat or in the stream that you have in this community, you can talk about different scenarios that you've encountered where you use these principles, these simple, easy to use principles, where you didn't have to memorize a bunch of words or magic phrases, but you use these simple principles and see how they made an impact on other people's lives, how they made an impact maybe on your business, how you feel that connection with people, and how people elevate your status to something more than it is today. And with that, I look forward to seeing you. So make sure to share in the chat in this community. If you have questions on how to apply that, please feel free to reach out to the community or myself. I am Coach Rico, and I look forward to seeing you then.